Hi, so in this video we're going to be discussing what is meant by positive and normative economics. So in the topic of economics, or the subject of economics, we can make two different sorts of statement. And these two different sorts are, as the video title suggests, positive and normative statements. So positive and normative economics, or positive and normative statements. So we'll start with positive economics and positive statements. These how we can just define positive economics is that it's statements and conjectures we make that are based on fact, and more specifically than just by saying facts, they're things that we can actually test and prove. So when we're giving a fact, we might also alongside that give some way with how this might be tested and how we've actually proven that. And this is the scientific approach to economics, where we'd say if we want to prove something, we need to give a way that that can be done. So if we want to prove that democracy is better than a different system, say than a communist system, we need to give some objective way that this can actually be tested. And you'd say that this cannot necessarily be tested, so it can't be positive economics, it's more opinion based, and we'll get onto that. So we should be able to collect evidence to determine whether a statement or whether a positive statement is true or false. And so an example of a positive statement may be that an increase in government spending will decrease private investment. And we can test this statement by saying, all other things equal, if we increase our government spending, what will happen to private investment? So we can come up with a regression model potentially and say, what is our private investment when we have low government spending, and what is our private investment when we have high government spending? And from that we can say whether this statement is true or if it's false. And so it's testable. We can prove it or disprove it, and that's the point. We may think of these as numerical statements, but we can prove them using data. Now, the flip side of this is going to be our normative statements and our normative economics. And this is not factual and not things that can be proven, they are instead opinions. So we think of these as subjective statements, and we can debate them for as long as we want, but we cannot necessarily prove them. So using the private investment example, we may say that private investment is more important than public investment. And if we think, how can we prove this using facts and data? Well, we may be able to come up with a strong argument by saying, okay, private investment gives us this sort of utility, and we're in the private sector, so we have the profit motive, and it's more efficient than the government investing in things in the public sector. And we can make these arguments, but we could also have the counter argument that, okay, public investment has got society at its core, and so public investment is going to be into healthcare, education, whereas private investment might just be into making profit. So we can weigh up each side, but we have to, at the end of the day, make some qualitative judgment, and each person is going to have a different view on the matter. And so how we weight different things and how we decide which is more important, well, that's normative. We can't prove that objectively. Whereas if we have a positive economic statement, we can say, okay, we definitely know that government spending is going to decrease our private investment through crowding out, for example. I'm not saying this statement is necessarily true, but I'm saying that it is a positive statement, that we can test it. However, we can't necessarily directly test whether this statement is true, but we can debate it. So that's the difference between positive and normative economics, and it's very important. Some will try and tell you that economics is a science because we can test these positive statements by using economic models, and other people will tell you that we're looking at more of a humanities subject. Economics is where we debate things like a humanities, and that's where normative economics comes in. And the truth is, economics is a bit of both. We have normative, which we debate, and we have positive, which we can try to prove. So that will wrap up this video. Please do drop a like if it was at all useful, subscribe for future videos, and yeah, leave a comment with any video suggestions.